So, I'm just gonna come clean like J. Rue the Damager and say that this is the first Billy Woods album that I've ever listened to. Yeah, that may sound shocking, disappointing, and crazy to folks who have Billy Woods as their favorite rapper of the past decade, but I never decided to give the man a chance until now. Truth be told, I didn't think that I had any more room left for another abstract rapper. But I decided not to be so rigid with my tastes and to go into this album with an open mind. Obviously, with the understanding that Billy Woods is an enigmatic MC with bars that can be as complex to decipher as Egyptian hieroglyphics. But this new project, Aethiopes, is Billy Woods' 10th studio album. The production is handled entirely by DJ Preservation, who has worked with Billy before, specifically on his compilation Eastern Medicine, Western Illness, which I did a review for on this channel. Now, Aethiopes contains 13 tracks and lasts approximately 39 minutes. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with this track-by-track breakdown. The opening track, Asylum, has this otherworldly jazz sample that sounds like something from the early 1900s from a far away land. You have a whirlwind of pianos, faint guitars, and barely any drums. Here, Billy Woods paints a picture of a kid growing up in Africa amidst some type of political turmoil or strife. He raps, "Some nights strange music plays. I lay in bed and listen downstairs. I hear mother breaking dishes, my father tripping. It's been quite bad lately. High tension, galvanized steel security fencing. To get through the day, give myself a mission." It's a dope first song that displays Billy Woods' knack for vivid storytelling. Track 2, No Hard Feelings, has a cinematic soundscape built around booming horns and light percussion. Altogether, it's an intense beat where Billy hits us with some grim and reality-based bars that border on being cryptic. He raps, "No hard feelings, it's scars when you done healing. It's malls topped with broken glass. I'll show you slum village." He also talks about getting stood up by a woman, so he decided to get high and then woke up to a text that read, "No hard feelings." Even though there are no drums, the horns make this a banger. Whereas track 3, Wharves, offers more of a drum presence. I liked what sounds like a xylophone sample, which added more color to the palette. So I believe the theme to this one is cannibalism, but I wouldn't be surprised if it had a deeper meaning. A part of me thought Billy Woods was likening the European colonizers to cannibals, but I could be wrong. He states, "Shipwrecked Europeans swimming with the virus, shot out like God's semen, fuck the world, pox screaming, crack missions for the heathens." Whatever the intended meaning was, the lyricism was detailed and sounded impressive. Track 4, Savage, featuring Bodie James and Gabe Nandez, takes on a darker and streetwise turn. The instrumental is murky and Far Eastern inspired. We have Bodie James bringing that criminology element to this record. Billy also has a verse that describes the savage lifestyle on the streets. I'm assuming he's talking about growing up in DC on the following lines. "I grew up on a line between north and south, I-95, 2 airports, triangular trade routes, everything we say mispronounced, flipped and bounced, used the wrong word on the phone, SIM cards are switching out. What you know about Stringer Bell from The Wire changing up his SIM card multiple times a day?" Or when his crew would talk reckless on the phone, someone would say, "Phone manners," then hang up on their ass. But yeah, I do have this as one of the highlights as a result of the eerie production and intricate street bars. He also focuses heavily on the streets for the next track, The Doldrums, which is built around a minimalist but unsettling beat. Billy Woods talks a lot about time on this track, but from the perspective of a drug dealer who not only has to be on time when paying the plug, but also acknowledging that his or her time is limited in that profession to begin with. Like Nas once said, "No need to check the clock, the streets will time you." Billy really paints a picture with the following bars. "The Carter 3 pour out of a double parked Jeep. The rain starts the minute I leave. At the corner, the water waist deep." Right after is the Posse cut 9X featuring Elucid, Quelly Chris, and Denmark Vesey. Here they all deliver solid verses over a punchy beat. I like the funky drums and the harmonica sample. It's another unique instrumental. While everyone came correct outside of Billy, I would say that Denmark Vesey's performance stood out. The tempo then slows down with Christine, a storytelling record set to a stripped back beat. The guitars give it somewhat of a Wild West feel. The title is based after Stephen King's movie Christine, about a haunted car, and throughout the verse, Billy Woods has a lot of imagery dealing with cars and horrific accidents, like on the following lines. Asleep at the wheel, gently over the guardrail, flipped heads or tails, one died, she survived, asked why, I replied, God's not real. It's one of the many grim and cynical tales from Billy on the project. We then have a flawless transition into the track Heavy Water. It's a real highlight featuring the legendary LP of Company Flow and Breeze Brewin from the Juggernaut. Obviously, these two were from the Indelible MCs collective, and this shows Billy Woods paying homage to the late 90s, early 2000s New York underground rap scene. I like the harder hitting, darker production as well as the scratching. It's easily one of the more in-your-face moments on the album. Billy Woods has a super random but funny line, multi-verse Benzino. Also, I like more of the name dropping that he did on the back end of the track with Mexican Meth in the Old West. The play within the play was G. Depp as Macbeth, Ashanti Gold on Queen Elizabeth neck. Right after is the two-part track Harlem featuring Fatboy Sharif. The first instrumental had a 70s blaxploitation sounding beat that was a little RZA-esque, while the second half had an off-kilter sample mixed in with jarring pianos. It sounded like a madman was at work, but Billy definitely pulled it off. The subsequent track, Versailles, featuring Despot, has a triumphant soul beat. On this one, Billy Woods and Despot do some social commentary. Billy has some astute observations on capitalism, politics, and just surviving, but it is Despot who I feel was the MVP of the track. His bars were crisp, and I just love the pocket that he flowed in. Despot wisely raps, God is watching, but I guess he got a lot of cheeks to turn. Ain't no shoulder colder once the fire die from bridges burn. Keep your mind off what is mine, or you'll be smiling on a shirt. Right after is Proto Evangelium with Shinehead, and this has one of the more straightforward loops, but it's also smooth and soulful. There's even some harmonizing on the hook from Shinehead and a faint reggae sample intermixed. What impressed me here was Billy Woods' detailed storytelling. It was giving me somewhat of a Nas feel. He recollected that night in Chinatown, we got in the party, I still don't know how, smoking cigars across from Dr. J. Mine was full of haze. Everything was free. One spoke English, the other Portuguese. Bed had a canopy, blood red lips, and a gap in her teeth. The second to last track, Remorseless, has a pensive, flute-like instrumental. It's haunting, but also dusty due to the vinyl crackling in the background. Now, I was getting somewhat of a Killah Priest feel from some of Billy's biblical references, but he also dropped some thoughtful jewels about saving rather than splurging on watches and teaching his kids to be self-sufficient. He doesn't want them to just be trust fund babies. Then the album comes to a close with Smith and Cross. It's a dope closing record set to a ghostly vocal harmony and electric guitars. Billy wraps up the project with some strong lines. Fire in the cane fields, generational trauma at the museum, eyes glassy from the pain pills, me and her in the diorama. Overall, I give this project a rating of 4 mics. While it wasn't the easiest to digest lyrically, because his bars are so multi-layered and dense, I was able to walk away from this project with a much greater appreciation for his whole aesthetic and skill level. I can now see why he's so highly revered in the field of abstract and experimental rap. So as a whole, I did enjoy the lyrical content much more than I thought I would have. That being said, there were some rhymes that still went over my head, but maybe I'll catch them more on future listens. Now, as far as the production was concerned, I thought Preservation provided an impressive collection of dark, haunting, and cinematic beats. I wouldn't be surprised if he had done more crate digging in Hong Kong in preparation for this album, because some of the samples sounded so obscure. Another highlight to the production was the smooth and effortless transitions we got between songs. The track list was sequenced pretty flawlessly, which made it play well from front to back. Now, this isn't a project that I'm likely to play in the gym or for when I'm riding around, getting to the bag, with that hustle and motivate kind of mentality. But when I do want to zone out and tap into the unique, intelligent, and creative vibes that this project offers, it will be a very dope listening experience. My favorite tracks include Asylum, No Hard Feelings, Wharves, Savage, Heavy Water, Harlem, Versailles, and Smith and Cross. Let me know what you thought about this album in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Billy Woods, Aethiopes 1.